Krishna said nothing in answer to Queen Kunti's prayers. He did not change his decision to leave Hastinapur. He continued with his decision. Externally, it might even seem that he did not hear her requests. Sometimes it seems to devotees when we are practicing that God is deaf to our prayers. That why is God listening to my prayer? Especially when we are in the beginning stage of bhakti, we imagine that Krishna is obliged to answer all our prayers in the usual language that we expect, in a way we expect. So we expect, we may not expect thunder from the heavens and like some miracles externally to happen. At least we want instant fulfillment of our desires, the way we want them to unfold. And most often, nothing happens like that. Very rarely anything like that would happen. More often, nothing like that happens. Life goes on as usual, despite all the fervent prayers that we have in our hearts. So initially, we are fervently praying about that, and then we see, oh, it's not happening. So then we cool down. We may just become like routine. We may start praying in routine words because we don't know if Krishna is going to fulfill all these things. Does he care? Does he not care? We don't know. And sometimes we could be disappointed also. Why is this happening to me? Why is Krishna doing this to me? We may not loudly say it, but somewhere in the heart we might have it. So those who are truly actually sincere, like here we see Kunti, she's not expecting any miracles. She's directly speaking to Krishna. What to speak of? We are praying in our hearts, we are praying to the deities. Here Krishna is present personally with Kunti, and she for sure knows that Krishna is hearing all her prayers. We might doubt whether Krishna hears my prayers or not, but here Kunti's prayers, Krishna is directly listening to her prayers. She knows that Krishna heard everything, but still, he just moved on. He just gave a smile and he moved on. If you ever had any experience with, I've had some experience with senior devotees, like somebody would come and they would be like, they would have like a 15-minute complaint and they'd everything, and they will be like, they'll just tap and then they'll just give a smile and then they will Hare Krishna and they'll just move. I'm like, what did, what does that mean? Like they just spoke to you for 15 minutes. That's all is the reply, that you tap and then you just pat on their back and like give a very mild smile and then say Hare Krishna and move on. So it could be quite bewildering for practicing devotees. I came to my guru with such huge problems and I'm just telling all these things. My guru is not saying anything. My guru is not replying what I should do in this particular situation, how I should handle this. So people sometimes can treat God or guru as like ATM, anytime answering machine. However, Krishna also wants us to actually go into our hearts, go inward, and try to listen to our hearts and feel the healing mercy that is pouring down in that silence. Because we think spiritual life, advancement in spiritual life is like, I don't need to do anything because I'm a devotee, I chant. That's all. Like, I don't need to become self-aware. I don't need to question my motives. I don't need to go inside my heart and see what are the various things in my heart, how I can actually, how much do I really want Krishna, how much I have my ego. So practicing devotees sometimes can become oblivious to these things that is going on in their own hearts. So Krishna has to give a deafening silence to shake us out of our ego. Because unless we go inside and also see the condition of our own hearts and listen to what is our ego saying and how, and then turn to Krishna and express those things very clearly. Krishna, this is what is happening inside. So that's what Krishna wants. Krishna is wanting us to come closer to him. He wants our divided heart to become undivided in love towards him. Currently, my mind is divided. It's all over the place. It has so many desires. It has so many things to enjoy and hate. And in this way, it also has love for Krishna. It also has aspirations to love Krishna. But it also has so many unnecessary things. Krishna is not a God who is willing to just take a piece of our mind and be happy with that. No, he wants the whole mind to himself. Because that is the original nature of the soul, that we are fully devoted to the Supreme. So he wants us to come to our original state. Currently, our hearts are so divided with so many other things. So, with that ego, when we all interact with each other, then there can be a lot of firecrackers going in the association. Then we think, oh, I thought devotees will be such nice people. Why are they so egoistic? Why are there's this problems? Why is this difference of opinions? Why is all of these things? But we don't also we are not sometimes willing to see how much in within our own hearts that is causing. That's also a reason sometimes to for all these problems. And even if it is not, how much undivided our heart is in an egoistic way, and we try to interpret everything is uh, happening to us, around us, but not for us by Krishna's mercy. So does God really care? God really cares, but how he cares can be different at different times. We cannot expect a template of care and have that template and say, Krishna, follow this template. This is how I would feel cared. So please follow this template. We cannot tell a doctor, this is the kind of medicine I would like to take. I like medicines which are sweet. I like medicines which are very small pills, easy to drink, easy to pop. And I don't want this, I want that. So we cannot actually tell everything to the doctor. This is how I want my treatment. No, the doctor decides based on a disease. So Krishna, so what is surrender? Surrender to Krishna means having this faith that whatever Krishna does to me is for my good. But that does not mean we have to let abuse go on or all these kind of things. We need to be introspective. We need to take guidance, but have this faith in her, faith at our heart, in our hearts, that everything that Krishna is doing is for my good. So I know it's not like a new theme. We all have heard enough of it. So the whole idea that we might sometimes question that does God care is because we try to hold God or Krishna within a particular template of care that we have in our minds. So that is the problem. And so moving on to the next verses, that this is, we just read the 44th verse of the chapter 8 of Canto 1, Kunti Maharani's prayers, where Suta Goswami said that after Kunti Maharani prayed in choice words, Krishna mildly smiled, Mandam Jahasa Vaikunto, and he moved on. So what happened next? Tambadam iti upamantria pravishya gajasahvayam striyascha puram yasyam premna rajan nivartita. So in verse 45, we see that how Yudhishthir Maharaj is stopping Krishna. Kunti Maharani wanted Krishna to stay back, but he did not say anything and he moved on as if he has no care in the world. And then he's being stopped by Yudhishthir and he accepts to stay back. That can actually, if we are egoistic, that can actually trigger a little uh, pain in our hearts. So, thus accepting the prayers of Srimati Kunti Devi, the Lord subsequently informed other ladies of his departure by entering the palace of Hastinapur. He made it very clear, I'm on my way out to Dwarka. But upon preparing to leave, he was stopped by King Yudhishthira, who implored him lovingly. So King Yudhishthir started to request very vocally, please stay back. And then in verse 46, we see King Yudhishthir, who was much aggrieved, could not be convinced. And that means what? Krishna actually started telling him, no, I have to go. It's all good. You're fine. Everything is fine. Everything will be okay. So Yudhishthir is asking Krishna to stay back. And Krishna is convincing Yudhishthir Maharaj, no, don't worry. Everything is fine. So there in that purport, Prabhupada says, no one could make Lord Krishna stay at Hastinapur when he decided to start for Dwarka. But the simple request of King Yudhishthir that the Lord remain there for a few days more were immediately effective. So Krishna chooses whom to hear. The same request, but why did he not take Kunti's request to stay back, and why did he take Yudhishthir's request to stay back? And that we will see further. This signifies that the power of King Yudhishthir was loving affection, which the Lord could not deny. The Almighty God is thus conquered only by loving service and nothing else. He is fully independent in all his dealings, but he voluntarily accepts obligations by the loving affection of his pure devotees. Does that mean Queen Kunti did not have any loving affection to Krishna? Is that what is emphasized here? Why is it that he heard, he did not hear Kunti's uh, request? Purva, is it because of my screen?
Yes, Prabhuji. What do you
Okay.
want to change? Sorry.
Okay, let me just change to my, because I didn't have time to make slides for all the verses, but I wasn't even sure if I'm going to speak on all the verses or I'm just going to say, like, just say the overview and move on. But somehow now I'm just going through the verses. So let me project it here. So it's not that Queen Kunti did not have loving affection. She was also qualified. So just because I have loving affection does not mean, again, like we cannot hold Krishna. Krishna, I am a pure devotee. I have all the loving affection. How did you not listen to me? So Krishna is fully independent. Even if one becomes a pure devotee, of course they can control, but still Krishna is independent. He chose to leave the Vrajavasis. He chose to leave the gopis. So we pray that like Aradhya Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanaya Taddama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachid Upasana Vrajavadu Varge Naya Kalpita. So we glorify the gopis so much, but still when Krishna wanted to leave Vrindavan, he didn't heed the request of the gopis. He went ahead. So Krishna is independent at all times. When he listens to, that is because he is just kind. He is obliging because he loves, wants to accept the love. But that it at sometimes he may accept the love, but may do differently than what we expect him to do. So here Kunti also had loving affection, Yudhishthir also had, but he agreed to Yudhishthir's request. Queen Kunti did not think, how dare you? I've been asking you for so long, you didn't say anything, and you now just simple request. Yudhishthir just wanted you to stay back, and you are accepting to stay back. So we will see the reasons further in the other verses. King Yudhishthir, who was very much aggrieved, could not be convinced. Despite instructions by great sages headed by Vyasa and the Lord Krishna himself, the performer of superhuman feats, and despite all historical evidence. Here, Krishna is called as Krishnena Adbhuta Karmana. He does superhuman feats. But even him who could do Adbhuta Karmana could not convince Yudhishthira Maharaj. And Prabhupada in the purport also says that how uh, he was mortified for a very valid reason that so many people were killed. However, why is that Krishna could not actually convince him? Uh, he did not allow, and Prabhupada says, as super soul, he says there, does it mean that he failed to be a superhuman actor? He's asking, has he failed in his supremacy? Because he was unable to convince Yudhishthira, has Krishna failed in his supremacy? Prabhupada says, no, certainly not. The interpretation is that the Lord, as Ishvara or the super soul in the hearts of both King Yudhishthira and Vyasa, performed still more superhuman action because the Lord desired it. As super soul of King Yudhishthira, he did not allow the king to be convinced by the words of Vyasa and others, including himself, because he desired that the king hear instructions from the dying Bhishma Dev, who was another great devotee of the Lord. The Lord wanted that at the last stage of his material existence, the great warrior Bhishma Dev see him personally and see his beloved grandchildren, King Yudhishthira, etc., now situated on the throne, and thus pass away very peacefully. Bhishmadev was not at all satisfied to fight against the Pandavas, who were his beloved fatherless grandchildren. But the Kshatriyas were also very stern people, and therefore he was obliged to take the side of Duryodhana because he was maintained at the expense of Duryodhana. Besides this, the Lord also desired that King Yudhishthir be pacified by the words of Bhishmadev, so that the world could see that Bhishmadev excelled all in knowledge, including the Lord himself. So he is trying to glorify one devotee. So he uses another devotee as an instrument, and make sure he is not convinced in his heart, so that he could go hear from Bhishmadev. More than anything, he also wanted to be personally present when Bhishmadev was leaving his body. So all of this he could orchestrate by not accepting Kunti's request. So end of the day, the world does not revolve around us. Krishna has a plan, and the world revolves around Krishna's plan. So if Krishna wants to accept Kunti's request, he could. If he does not want to, still Kunti needs to have this faith. Okay, she cannot become insecure. How did that he accepted my son's request and not my request? So as practicing devotees, sometimes we may see things happen according to our desire. Sometimes things happen not according to our desire, probably most of the times. So what kind of attitude we develop? How do we actually take all of these things, so that we can see from the life of these devotees? In verse 47, we see King Yudhishthir, the son of Dharma, overwhelmed by the death of his friends, was aggrieved, just like a common materialistic man. O sages, thus deluded by affection, he began to speak. Aho, King Yudhishthir said, "O my lord, I am the most sinful man." It says, "Oh my lord." I don't think so. That's right. I am the most sinful man. Just see my heart, which is full of ignorance. This body, which is ultimately meant for others, has killed many, many phalanxes of men. I have killed many boys, brahmanas, well-wishers, friends, parents, preceptors, and brothers. Though I live millions of years, I will not be relieved from the hell that awaits me for all these sins. He is just overwhelmed. There is no sin for a king who kills for the right cause, who is engaged in maintaining his citizens. But this injunction is not applicable to me. And Prabhupada clarifies, why is Yudhishthira Maharaj thinking like this? Yudhishthira Maharaj thought that although he was not actually involved in the administration of the kingdom, because the kingdom at that point of time was administered by Duryodhana, and he was doing, Prabhupada says in the previous purport, he was doing a fair job in some sense, in terms of efficiency. Yeah, he may be doing, but his attitude was not the right one. So from the perspective of Yudhishthira Maharaj, hey, Duryodhana was anyway ruling, so why did I have to kill so many people just for the reason that I should become a king? So he's taking responsibility, and from that perspective he is coming, though it's not true, because Duryodhana was not just it's not, even if he was efficient, his attitude was not right. So Maharaj Yudhishthira thought that although he was not actually involved in the administration of kingdom, which was being carried on well by Duryodhana without harm to the citizens, he caused the killing of so many living beings only for his personal gain of the kingdom from the hands of Duryodhana. This is Yudhishthir's perspective. The killing was committed not in the course of administration, but for the sake of self-aggrandizement, and as such, he thought himself responsible for all the sins. So this is the attitude of Yudhishthir being explained. Sundaranand Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So why is it mentioned twice that King Bhishma wanted to speak to King Yudhishthira, right? So is it because that would change? Well, I'm just trying to understand why that would change if Krishna was not there. That could still continue, right? Bhishma could still speak to King Yudhishthira.
Okay.
But I mean, I understand that Bhishma.
No, I understand. The reason I already earlier mentioned was also there, that Krishna wanted to be personally present while Bhishmadev was passing. He wanted to actually give that, what do you call, somebody has done such a hard service. We all would like to be devotees, and we all would like to be seen in the good light as someone who serves Krishna. But Bhishmadev took that hard job of trying to fight Krishna on the opposite side, because there was a Virya Rasa involved. So that the whole thing we will explain in the next chapter, of course, in detail. We will see his prayers. So there was a Virya Rasa going between Bhishma Dev. So he also wanted Bhishma Dev to be on the opposite side in order to increase the spice of his Leela. And also to teach the world that even if you are Bhishma, if you stand against Dharma, you will be defeated. So he used him as an instrument, but because especially like Lord Shiva, Lord Bhishma, or Bhishma Dev, these are personalities who does that hard job of trying to play the role which nobody wants to play. Like the Jaya and Vijaya wanting to be Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. It's not an easy role to play. That's why Krishna chooses his dear devotees to play those roles, because in order to give him pleasure, because uh, it can sound crazy. Everything in this world and the very world, this world itself is also existing for the Leela of to give pleasure to the Supreme Lord. And it sometimes sounds like how like audacious to say that I'm suffering here and the whole world is such a hellish place and all these difficulties are there. And you say that everything is for Krishna's pleasure and the material world is existing for his Leela and for his pleasure. So Krishna can accomplish multiple things in one go. He needs to create a prison for all the living entities who want to be away from him. At the same time, he wants to come there so that he can rescue them. And he also wants to have certain pastimes that he cannot have in the spiritual world for his enjoyment. He could use that also. So he could achieve all of these things in one shot. We would like to believe that we are the center of the universe, that Krishna has this place is a jail, so he has to come just for to show compassion to me, not for his enjoyment. How the hell my suffering, the place where I suffer can be a place which gives enjoyment to Krishna? But Krishna can achieve all of these things in one go. So similarly, I don't know where I went with the answer, but the reason that he is actually personally being present is he wants to show mercy to Bhishma Dev and glorify Bhishma Dev for the rest of eternity for the hard service that he actually offered.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Yes, Mother Gail.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I have a question, but I just need to follow up on what you were just saying.
Okay, I created more trouble for myself.
No. I was actually trying to help justify this point that you were making, that what is it that we're here suffering and Krishna is like using us for his enjoyment. This rescue operation is for his enjoyment. But wouldn't you say that he wouldn't be doing like that with us unless the end result would make it all worth it? No?
Mm-hmm.
So it may on the surface seem like Krishna is being, very exploitative and insensitive, by having us go through this material experience
Mm-hmm.
just for his enjoyment. But because the end result
Mm-hmm.
will make it all worth it,
Mm-hmm.
it's not to our detriment, even though it's for our leader. I mean, for his leader. Would you agree with that or no? Did you even
No, I don't
understand what I
agree
was?
with I don't agree with that.
Okay. Did you
No,
understand what I
no,
was
I'm just
saying?
saying it in a way to just create some spice. Like there are certain nuances that I would say we could state it better, because it's not that Krishna is making us suffer. We wanted to be separate from him. We desire to be separate from him. We vehemently are we are active competitors to Krishna through our ego. We continue to remain active competitors to the supremacy. We want to, maybe like we are still we are devotees, we are trying to get better, but there is somewhere in the heart like we would like to play God and be that center of everything. So this conditioned souls have this disease, so he is just creating a place where they could go. But the thing is, what is the medicine? He is the medicine. So he needs to come there. And what is he going to do when he comes there? He has to perform his Leela. So he also has certain pastimes that he can only he needs a dark background in order for those pastimes to be executed and enjoyed. Like there will be no demons in the spiritual world to fight with. So that's possible here. So what I'm saying is, this world is, we sometimes would like to exclusively claim a proprietorship to this world because I desired and I need to be reformed. That is the only reason material world is existing. I'm saying, please get out at that center. The material world is not even exclusively existing for your sake. It is existing for Krishna's pleasure. And it is not incompatible to say that, and to say that this world is also a place of reformation for us. That is not the exclusive purpose. We have a shared purpose, but the main purpose is Krishna's pleasure.
Okay, well, for me to respond to this, what you just said, it would take us into a realm that's beyond the scope of this class, because it gets into the fall of the jiva
Shiva.
controversy, and I won't put you through that. So yeah, because if we never actually were ever in the spiritual sky, then that makes my argument legitimate. But like I said, I'm not going to put you through that in this class. So my other question had to do with Queen Kunti. Queen Kunti's prayer. Oh, it was. I'm actually just trying to recall. Oh my God, I actually just blanked. I actually just blanked on. I got it. I got it back. Okay, so you had said earlier that that what's his name, Duryodhana, right? It's not that he wasn't running the kingdom efficiently. It was his attitude, right?
Yeah.
So since everybody was getting their needs met, I guess that's the meaning of efficient running. What was that attitude problem that required for this war to take place? That's my question.
Okay. So the purpose of the world is reformation of the souls, to develop love for Krishna. If the administrator only provides for the bodies and maintains an active inimical attitude towards Krishna, do you think he will encourage his subjects to become loving devotees of Krishna?
No.
So that is Krishna's concern, because he is not worried about the efficiency of administration, because intelligence is there even in atheistic people. That's not is Krishna's concern, how intelligent someone is. Ultimately, everything is, the whole world is also, one of the purposes of the world is to actually reform the conditioned souls and make them come to their original state of loving Krishna. So if he actively breeds hatred towards Krishna and vehemently opposes the godhood of Krishna, even when Krishna shows him the universal form and tries to give him good counsel, how in the world is he going to encourage his citizens to become devotees?
Right. So if material prosperity were like the only objective or the main objective, then Duryodhana could have stayed, no problem. But Krishna was interested in the fulfillment of people's souls.
Yeah.
Not
Just imagine if a
material.
temple president, he somehow has devised ways that he brings millions of dollars into the temple as funds, but does not worry about the worship of the deities, or like running of the programs, spiritual programs to enlighten people about preaching or anything. If he just makes this whole thing into a money-making machine and does not care about the spiritual elevation of the practitioners or the people in common, do you think Prabhupada would be happy with that person?
Nope.
So it's a very similar to that. Krishna is not just concerned about efficiency alone. Will Prabhupada be happy if the president was such a nice devotee and everybody was chanting and he is not managing the funds properly, or he is not like able to raise funds? He's just a brahmana, someone stuck in a wrong position. Prabhupada will still be saying, no, this is not right. You need to get right people on place who could actually make money and maintain the organization. That is important. However, when that is there, the most important thing is that people become devotees. For
Yeah.
that, and to that end, we also need to maintain funds, but the primary goal cannot be missed.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. So he is claiming that there is no sin for a king who kills for the right cause, but it's not applicable to me. This is Yudhishthira Maharaj's flavor. Yeah, that's true that if I'm fighting for the right cause, I don't have any sins. And here he has fought on the order of Krishna, then why will there be any sins? No. But Krishna specifically, it's not that Yudhishthira is not having the right consciousness, he is being specifically bewildered so that Krishna can actually accomplish what he wants to accomplish. That he wants to go see Bhishmadev personally when he is passing and wants to glorify Bhishmadev. So there are multiple levels of people who will read Mahabharata, who will read Bhagavatam, who would like to see devotees on certain level, different levels. So someone who is seeing from a very mundane perspective, they may see, Bhishmadev is great in knowledge. But someone wants to see the devotional uh, inner play that will be revealed in the further chapter. So that's the difference between Mahabharata and Bhagavatam. Mahabharata is the adhikar, the book's adhikar is for people who are materialistic. But Bhagavatam's adhikar is nirmat saranam satam vedam vastavam atravastu shivadam tapatrayon molinam. The adhikar of Bhagavatam is one's whose heart is wanting to love Krishna and which has devotion to Krishna. So accordingly, the same external happening, but the internal reasons for which it happens, a different reason is revealed in the Bhagavatam. Okay, hope that makes sense. My God, it's already 9:53. So the 52nd verse, as it is not possible to filter muddy water. So basically he's saying, just because I killed so many people, now you made me do some Ashwamedha Yajna. So I cannot counteract killing of people with sacrificing animals. So that's why he is giving this example. Muddy water, like it is not possible to filter muddy water through mud or purify a wine-stained pot with wine. So similarly, it's not possible to counteract killing of men by sacrificing animals. So in this way, he's giving strong arguments, and Krishna apparently is unsuccessful in convincing Yudhishthira Maharaj. And we will see in the next chapter what does Krishna do in order to pacify Yudhishthira Maharaj. That's what will be the chapter 9. We'll discuss what is his strategy to actually convince Yudhishthira Maharaj. So in a few minutes, I'll just go through the remaining slides for this particular chapter, and then we will call it a day because I need to leave somewhere for another program. I promise that I'll be there at 10 to leave from here. Only 5 more minutes. So no, we're not seeing this. So the whole overall chapter we did discuss how the Pandavas and everybody, they're offering oblations and rituals for the departed souls, and they are aggrieved, pacified by Krishna. Then Uttara is attacked by Ashwatthama's Brahmastra and is protected. Parikshit is protected. The Pandavas are protected. Then Kunti Maharani offered her prayers. Then Krishna accepts Kunti's prayers with a smile, moves ahead, and then is stopped by Yudhishthir, accepts his call to stay back. And despite instructions from the sages and Krishna, he is overcome by grief and is completely unconsolable. And in the next chapter, we will see how is he being consoled by Krishna. So this chapter, when we see through the lens of the 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam, we see Poshana, protection, that Lord protects Parikshit from the Ashwatthama's Brahmastra. He protects the Pandavas, and also Kunti recounts how many places that Krishna protected them in the verses 23 and 24 in the poisoned cake episode, or Varanavata, or the assembly of the Kauravas, or the exile, or during the war. So how in so many places Krishna protected them. So this principle of protection of Krishna, the special protection of Krishna for those who are surrendered to him. The general providing is there for all conditioned souls. The sun exists, the moon exists, the rains come. All these kind of general protection and providing and maintenance is there for all conditioned souls, everyone, whether they are atheist or theist. If only Krishna arranged in such a way that only theist could get all the facilities and the atheist would not get, then probably the whole world would have become theist, at least for the sake of facility. So it is common. These things are common to everyone. But the Poshana protection is special protection, which is offered to surrendered souls. Ishanu Katha, the narrations of the Lord's pastimes and his devotees, is mentioned in this chapter. We see Krishna's dealings with all the devotees from the beginning to the end of the chapter. His dealings with Kunti, his dealings with the other Pandavas and Yudhishthir. And we also see how Krishna's pastimes of with Mother Yashoda, or glorifying Krishna's connection with the with Devaki, Nanda Maharaj, all of them is recounted by Queen Kunti. And there is Ashraya. Uttara explicitly takes shelter of Krishna when she is in trouble, and Queen Kunti seeks uninterrupted attraction and shelter in Krishna alone, and freedom from everything else. And she also affirms their dependence on his glance. And also we see how hearing and chanting and remembering of the Lord, Kunti Marani prays, leads to seeing the Lord's lotus feet, stopping birth and death. So that Ashraya aspect is emphasized, and liberation is also emphasized. She says, if seeing you ends rebirth, and she also calls Krishna as Kaivalyapati, master of liberation. So in these ways, these four topics, at least, I'm not sure, maybe the other topics were there. To the best of my ability, to scanning this chapter, we could see at least these four are very obvious. These topics are touched upon. And from the context of Canto 1's themes, Canto 1 has three major themes. Again, there could be much more themes, but in general, this is agreed upon that Canto 1 shows Adhikari Tattva, who's qualified to speak Bhagavatam, who's qualified to hear Bhagavatam, and who is the ultimate object of worship, Uttama Sadhya, and what is the ultimate way to worship that Supreme Lord, Uttama Sadhana. These are the three major overarching themes of Canto 1. And we have seen each chapter through that lens. Seeing this chapter through that lens, we can see Kunti emphasizes that only Akinchana, Tvam Akinchana Gocharam, only one who's free from material pride and possessions can actually approach Krishna with sincerity. So she's qualifying adhikar. What is people's adhikar to actually understand Krishna and have a relationship with Krishna? And Queen Kunti and Uttara are showing that helpless, sincere surrender to Krishna is a qualification to be able to hear the message of Krishna and to speak the message of Krishna purely. And whose Uttama Sadhya, Queen Kunti clearly establishes that the ultimate refuge for everyone is Krishna. And she also prays, Tvaime Ananya Vishaya Matir Madhupateya Sakrit. She prays that let me develop exclusive attraction to Krishna alone. And Uttama Sadhana, that she reveals that bhakti as the path. In counting why Krishna appears in this world, she clearly says Krishna appears in this world to establish devotional service and to propagate so that people can practice hearing, chanting of his pastimes and become develop love for him. So that is the Uttama Sadhana, is hearing and chanting of Krishna's Leela. And in fact, that is the main reason Krishna himself is coming to this world. So she's glorifying that practice of bhakti as Uttama Sadhana, as bhakti is the reason for which, to propagate bhakti is the reason that Krishna comes to this world. So in that way, she glorifies Uttama Sadhana, bhakti as Uttama Sadhana. And the last lens that we will see this chapter is through the lens of Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojana. What is a Sambandha? The knowledge of the relationship of the soul with Krishna is described in this chapter. Queen Kunti again prays Krishna as the Supreme Lord, Ishvara, controller of time, unborn yet being born. So in this way, she establishes that how Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and she identifies herself and all living entities as dependent. So that clarifies our relationship with Krishna. Krishna is Vibhu and we are Anu. We're always dependent on Krishna, whether we accept it or not. And through the lens of Abhideya, both Queen Kunti and Uttara show that how complete surrender to Krishna, remembering Krishna and offering prayers to Krishna and taking shelter of him through these essential aspects of Bhakti Yoga is the practice. Both in the practicing stage and in the perfected stage, this is what is the devotee's behavior. In sadhana, we do it as practice. In the state of perfection, it becomes the nature, which is the nature. That original nature will be uncovered. Now we are trying to practice that original nature because we have a conditioned nature. And she shows that how uninterrupted attraction for Krishna is the thing that we have to aspire for. We need to practice. And for that, we need to develop disinterest from materialistic things. So this is all Abhideya. And from the lens of Prayojana, she clearly shows that developing undivided attraction towards Krishna and full dependence on him is the goal. So that is the sign of pure love. So through all of these, we realize how Queen Kunti's prayers, that Krishna is giving us a chance to understand what it means to actually be a pure devotee, what is the price that is being paid by Queen Kunti, Yudhishthira Maharaj. In the next chapter, we will see Bhishma Dev, Uttara, all of them. So we're very grateful that Bhaktivedanta Maharaj wrote an elaborate book on these prayers, so that it's been such a nice experience to read and also repeat, and spiced by all your questions, which increases our ability to contemplate on these things and get clarified on these important prayers of Queen Kunti, which Prabhupada considered very dear to him. So thank you for this opportunity. Extremely grateful. And Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. And I have another engagement for which I need to travel, so I need to sign off now. I'm very sorry I'm not able to take questions at this point, but we will take any questions if there are. You could post it in the WhatsApp, and either through WhatsApp or in the next session we can discuss. So thank you all. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Keshava Madhav Prabhu. Always encouraging by your presence. And Sundaranand Prabhu, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Amrita Kishori, Hare Krishna, Hare Chan Prabhu, Hemangi Mataji, Hare Krishna, Niro Prabhu, Madhigel, Sundaranand Prabhu, Anangasaki Mataji, Hare Krishna, Manisha
Thank you,
Mataji,
Prabhu.
Amal
Thank
Prabhu,
you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, Ganashre Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Sri Mataji, Amal Gopi Mataji, and Hladni, Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone. Manisha.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.